So on Sunday, the PGA Tour announced the players on the Player Advisory Council. There you see a second name down. Lanto Griffin is part of the pack. He is joining us right now. Lanto, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Before we get into all this, how you feeling? How's the back?
Uh, I'm doing great. The back body and the back feel. I'm about 5 years younger than I was in that interview with you at Travelers. So it's nice to. I just played 3 weeks in a row. Um, Red eye flight from Hawaii and no back spasms and really no pain. So that's a real positive for me.
Cool. Now, the sound that we played from the Travelers in June to where we sit today with you, a member of the pack, what's the bridge there? What took place? Why'd you do it?
Well, I got voted on. We spent some time in the off season asking some questions with the tour and just trying to get some answers, trying to get some transparency with everything that's going on in the game of golf. It's crazy to sit back. I was thinking about our interview today, last night, and just thinking back on how much golf has changed since the COVID pandemic and Live came along. It's hard to recognize the PGA Tour and the schedule and everything that's going on. It's kind of wild. So I'm excited to be on the pack. It's cool to have a voice. I think it's needed. I think this is a kind of a critical time in golf and for the PGA Tour. So hopefully we can right the ship and try and settle things down and ultimately get back to golf and talk about golf and not talk about schedule changes and signature events and other leagues, the Live Tour and that's the goal is to give golf fans really good golf and the level of play on the PGA Tour right now is incredible. I think Nick Dunlop's win at Amex is it's going to go down in history. It's one of the
Mm-hmm.
craziest things I've ever seen. I was there that week. 27 under par for the first 3 rounds was insane, and then for him to close it out playing with Sam Burns and Justin Thomas in the or maybe the final group um, just shows you how deep golf is, and it's pretty exciting time when you look at the talent.
When you think of your role on the pack, Lanto, how would you define it? What do you hope to accomplish?
I know I'm going to be very firm. I'm opinionated, but at the same time, I feel like I'm fair to the point where I know I can recognize how important the top players are and how valuable they are and how much we owe to them in the game of golf. But I also want to be an advocate for rookies on tour, the entire membership, and ultimately the what's best for the game of golf. The last few years, like I mentioned earlier, it's been tough mentally. Um, just always changing, the landscape changing. Ideally, we'd get some kind of agreement worked out between the top players and the rest of the membership and the management to where, look, if you go out and you play good golf, you're going to move up. If you don't play good golf, you're going to move down. And that's the meritocracy that sports should be. It's everything should be determined on the field or on the course or on the court. Nothing should be determined in a boardroom when it comes to sports, and that's kind of my view on it, and that's what I'm going to fight for. But at the same time, I want to be fair and hopefully we can all come together and come to an agreement.
Do you feel like the equity that you're aspiring to, do you feel like that is in the pathway right now, or is that something that needs to be built?
That's a good question. I mean, we worked pretty hard in the off season just to get some answers and try and figure out exactly why these things are happening and being voted on the pack by my peers is obviously humbling and hopefully we can get to the bottom of it. But that's to be seen, I guess. Hopefully we can get some things done and everybody's happy. And I do know one thing. We talk about this, the Live Golf League and the PGA Tour. There's so much talent in the game of golf to where, in a weird way, there's room for two leagues. I don't necessarily think it's the best thing for the PGA Tour and the game of golf, but we're not going to change that, and that's fine. Um, I think we need to look going forward. We need to look at the young guys and the young stars that are coming up. The PGA Tour has created every star in the game of golf, at least on the U.S. side of the pond. So if you look at a Will Zalatoris or you look at a Sam Burns or some of these up and coming young superstars, the PGA Tour is the reason why they are. It's because they've played really well and they've gotten a lot of TV time and they've won some big championships. So that's going to keep happening, whether guys leave for live or guys remain on the PGA Tour. Golf's in a really healthy spot with what college golf's done and the Corn Ferry Tour, and it's just crazy how deep golf is.
A couple of times in this interview already, Lanto, you have used the phrase top players and top players getting their due, et cetera. I realize who you're defining as the top players, but I'm curious how and where you define yourself in the spectrum of professional golf.
In a weird way, I don't even really, when I'm saying this, I don't really think of myself as anything. I'm kind of looking at it as, from an outside perspective, with somewhat of an inside view. I'm obviously a journeyman. This is my sixth year on the PGA Tour. I played mini tours for a bunch of years. One thing I do look back on is I played 6, 7 years on the mini tours and PGA Tour Latin America. I went to Q school 6 times. So I look back and I imagine myself now coming out of college and trying to play professional golf and make it to the PGA Tour and ultimately win on the PGA Tour. And the road right now would be a lot harder than it was for me when I did it in the mid, 2015, 2016. And I can tell you it was incredibly hard then, living at home with your mom and doing Q school and asking people for money. I don't necessarily think I would have made it in the current landscape. It's just it's really hard to do, and that's what kind of scares me with what's happening now is these rookies coming out on tour. There's guys that have played on Corn Ferry for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Finally got their due. They finally broke through, and they're on the PGA Tour, and now they're not going to get very many starts. The American Express field was incredibly deep. Um, the field last week at Farmers was incredibly deep. So these guys, they finally achieve their dream. They don't have that fall buffer that they used to have, the 6 to 8 tournaments to kind of get their feet wet and get some momentum. And now it's, you're going to play this week and then you get a month off and you might get in that event. And then you can go play an opposite field event with, 3 to 4 times less points than the signature events. So you look at these rookies and, your rookie is going to be hard. It's always been hard for a rookie on the PGA Tour, but now it feels like your back's really against the wall. And it's not so much play better, it's play much, much better if you want an opportunity.
LantoGriffinFoundation.com if you want to check out his foundation. Lanto, what's the purpose of the foundation? What are you guys working on? I know you have a charity event, don't you, in Roanoke?
Yeah, Roanoke, Virginia at Ballyhack Golf Club. It's going to be the third week of September. And basically, we're raising money for families that are battling terminal illnesses and also youth sports. The goal there is to give kids that want to be good, they want to earn a college golf scholarship or a college basketball scholarship, hockey, whatever sport it is, to give them the opportunity to get coaching, equipment, travel to tournaments, travel leagues, whatever it may be. So it's not so much just golf. I just remember being a kid and really wanting to play sports. I played soccer, basketball, baseball, and golf, and my family couldn't afford to, put me on travel teams, and so this is a way that I had a lot of people, help us financially when I was, a kid and in college, and helped me to get to where I am. So hopefully find some kids that really want to be good. They're working hard, and all they need is a little bit of financial support and guidance, and it's amazing having an opportunity, what it does to your soul. It makes you hungry. It gets you excited about waking up and going and chasing your dreams. So that's the goal behind our foundation. Those two things.
What is your advice then to kids of all ages who are trying to chase their dream as a winner on the PGA Tour that has reached yours?
Anything's possible. Hard work. It comes down to discipline, sacrifice, and perseverance for me. Maybe not going out with your friends every night, going to bed earlier, reading books, practicing harder, and then obviously having some good opportunities with coaching and in golf in general. Any young kid and parent, you don't need to travel all around the world to play junior tournaments. If you can find competition, 18 hole, 9 hole tournaments in your local area, putting a score on the scorecard is incredibly important. Golf feels different in tournaments than it does on the driving range or if you're playing at home. So it doesn't need to be some big extravagant travel, spending a ton of money. Just find a really good local tour, and play as much as you can.
Obviously, you can't do what you're doing on the world stage of golf unless you have support. I see Stanley on your shirt. How important are the sponsors that you have built?
It's incredible. It really is the amount of people that we meet in the game of golf at pro-ams every week, and the cool thing about a lot of my sponsors are they support my foundation. So we obviously have a partnership, but then they also give back to local charities in Virginia and around the country that I support. So that partnership, the relationships with these with all my sponsors are really important, and it's they go past the game of golf and a partnership to friendships, and it's really cool. A lot of my sponsors will travel and watch me play, and we'll have dinners, and it's you saw from some of those pictures the Lanto hats. I've seen pictures of those on airplanes, and it doesn't make sense to me. Gilbert Ramos might be watching. He started that, and um, but it's flattering, and it's really cool to have that support on the shirt. That's Gilbert right there. So, having sponsors, that want you to do well in golf, but also outside of golf and in life is really cool.
Very cool. Scott Verplank was on the program before you. I asked him the question: is golf at the end of January 2024 better than it was at the end of January 2023? What's your take?
Ah, that's tough. I don't think it was that good in the end of 2023. So I'm optimistic about the future. Getting golf back to where it's decided on the course is my number one goal. Everybody's on a level playing field. If I were to play better than you, or you play better than me, we get rewarded for that. So I'm gonna say it's about the same, same or worse, honestly.
Do you have hope for the future of the game?
I think there's a lot of greed going on in the game of golf right now, which is frustrating. We're in a bubble, and that's tough to see because the PGA Tour is so special. The communities that we play in, and the charities and the competition. There's no better feeling than playing well on the PGA Tour and making the cut and being in contention, having a chance to win. That hasn't changed, and that will never change. So what golf can do to you, and it can bring people together, that's still there. I just think we need to figure out behind the scenes how for everybody to get along, and for greed to kind of get out of it, and get back to focusing on golf, and honestly not having conversations like, why does a signature event have, you know 2 to 3 times the points of a full field event? Get back to where you're just out there playing. And if you can play 15 to 20 events a year, and make tour championship and win, then you have every right to do that. But give the entire membership an opportunity.
Well, that behind the scenes is exactly where you will be as a member of the pack. Good luck, my friend. Thank you very much for your time. Fascinating insights.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me on.